On this episode, we had Richard Di Biase of Restoration One. Now, Richard has a fascinating story where he was a police officer in Canada and wanted to do something different. So he moved him and his wife down to Central Florida to open up a Restoration One franchise. It's a great story. He's a fascinating person. I know you're going to like it. Please like and subscribe. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the Hole in the Wall Business Podcast with Bill and James. I'm James Groves, and along with my business partner, Bill DeMent, we want to share our journey as small business owners with you. As owners of Hole in the Wall Drywall Repair, we will attempt to peel back the curtain of owning a small business in the trade service industry and talk about the many adventures of owning a small business. Hey, Bill.
James, good morning. Today's guest,
Yes.
and you'll introduce him in just a minute,
Yes.
has set a new standard. I've never met him before, to my detriment, and he showed up to the podcast bearing gifts.
Gifts for us.
This is a hint to all future podcast guests.
Feel free.
He showed up bearing gifts.
Yes. Feel
Wasn't
free
that
to
fun?
come bring gifts. You know, we had one other guest bring gifts. Judy Mitchell made that.
Oh, she did. That
That
was
was
gorgeous too. Yeah, that's true.
I'll have to show you that sometime, Richard. So listen, let me just get right into it. I want to introduce Richard Di Biase. He is the owner of the Restoration One franchises here in Central Florida, Lake Nona, Winter Park, Lake Buena Vista, pretty much all of Central Florida, right?
You got it.
And you are here, you're a franchisee, and so that obviously piques our interest. You're a buddy of ours. I've known you for a little while now. You're in my BNI chapter, another plug for BNI. And so we are so happy to have you here, Richard. Welcome.
Yeah, welcome in.
Thank you so much.
He's a fellow North American from our northern friends in Canada. So I cannot wait to get into it. Do me a favor, Richard. Just kind of fill my audience in on kind of where you came from, who are you, and then we're going to get into why you wanted to choose Restoration One and come down here to the state of Florida.
I love it. Well, thank you, Bill and James, for having me on the show. It's truly an honor. Well, the long and the short, fellow Canadian here, found myself hating the cold and the dreary winters up north. So, you know, the wife and I, Stephanie, were looking for somewhere warm and tropical to be. And there was a paradigm shift. COVID was the big change for a lot of people to leave, to leave the 9 to 5, so to speak. And I was a police officer in Canada in a federal capacity for 14 years. So yeah, that's what I did.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, you know, a variety of locations in Canada, but the paradigm was I was trapped in Calgary while my wife was stuck in Toronto and COVID comes. We were just on a move across Canada. And so that was the kind of the paradigm.
They
It's
wouldn't
like,
let you connect?
well, travel was restricted, couldn't fly by plane. And it just became, how is this move actually going to happen? We can't even buy a house. I couldn't even find a place to live. Nobody would even rent. Realtors wouldn't even open up a home for you to look at. So like right in the middle of all this, I'm like, is this what I want to do? It was a big career change. So we're like, okay, we did that, resigned. We had an investment business in real estate. We focused, traditionally, we were looking at the commercial space, but we ended up with some single family homes, and that was fine. And then that was our vehicle and our curiosity that brought us down to Costa Rica. And it was on that trip to Costa Rica where I was like, how are we going to generate US currency as Canadians? And back in Canada, we do a podcast called the Making Waves Mindset Show, where we focus on those who want to leave the 9 to 5 and to becoming their own boss and leaving pensions and paychecks. And we had a gentleman in New Jersey who had come on to talk about franchising. And in this recording, he spoke about E2 visas.
Mm-hmm.
And this was one of the most popular ways for international investors to come to the United States. And so that was the whole paradigm shift of terrible freezing cold Canada winters to we're into Costa Rica. We're looking at the investment space in South America, in Central America. And then it's, hey, how do we do this? How can we make US currency? And it was our own podcast.
Wow.
Just that introduction.
So your podcast gave you that introduction.
It was.
Interesting. So then let's talk about that real fast. Why Florida? Why this opportunity? How did you even find this opportunity? How did you even get started with the E2 franchise search?
Oh my gosh. So when we had the recording, he went on to explain that the E2 visa was one of a few visas that were specific to treaty nations. So Canada is a treaty nation to the United States. We're literally brothers and sisters with you guys. And of course, the franchise consultant individual, they always look at your finances, your interests. And so they come up with a whole list of, here's the top 5, are you okay with a nail salon? Do you care if you have a golf course or a mosquito company or whatever? And restoration was on there. And I thought, what a perfect tie. I was a police officer, the 911 for people. How about the 911 to save properties, right?
Yeah.
Restoring people's lives, getting people back to normal from a time of chaos. So I thought it was a fitting twist. And Florida was on the radar. It wasn't the first point. More specifically, we were looking at the Tampa Clearwater area. And then we quickly discovered there was an opportunity with Restoration One in Orlando, which is where the franchise actually had started back in 2008. And so we're like, well, let's look at Orlando. It's a day's drive, so to speak, from Toronto. It's something easy that we can do. Let's check it out. And we found ourselves in Florida after looking at a few different locations across the U.S. We settled for Restoration One.
Yeah.
Just kind of that premise was nice.
Yeah. Because the former owner of this location is a buddy of mine as well.
Yeah.
And they didn't part very well. He's a hard-headed guy. But it's got a great reputation. So you already have this amazing reputation in Central Florida for Restoration One. And frankly, there's a lot of, there's 600 restoration companies in Central Florida. And it's just a ton.
Yeah. There's a ton.
And so fighting that battle, I know people that own restoration companies. We owned a restoration company. And fighting that battle, buying an already successful franchise, kind of you skip the line a little bit.
A little bit.
So how hard was it for you from the time you started that process to actually getting here?
I think the longest part was the E2 visa process. It's very in-depth. It's very lengthy. And of course, they want to see the validity that what you're doing is real. It's not something that is mischievous. It's a legitimate business venture. You're actually bringing capital down here. You're paying Uncle Sam.
Sure.
You're hiring Americans. You're doing all of this. So that was the longest part. But the challenges in doing that are the small things, like obtaining your social security number, trying to get a credit card, trying to even open up a phone bill, a phone account. It's a nightmare because the U.S. does things ever so slightly and differently. So when we made that transition to come down here, is just understanding that you have to have that resilient mindset to kind of go, listen, other people have done this. We can navigate and get through it. And we're not going to let those, roadblocks or speed bumps stop us from coming through. And Restoration One was very accommodating to us in terms of, hey, things are going to take longer than they normally would for an everyday applicant, if you want to say applicant, but a franchise owner trying to start up. So they were very supportive of that and understanding.
I'm curious, how long was that process?
Oh my gosh. I'd say it was closer to a year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
It was a lot longer.
And probably was just something to do every day. Make sure you have this, go get that.
We're waiting on this, we're waiting on that. And at the same time, you're off to Texas. That's where Restoration One is headquartered today. You're doing your training. You're off to Indianapolis for additional training. You're doing your IICRC for, global standards and certification. So there were things I could do in between, but yeah, I was waiting on all the legalities.
Well, we've had several E2 visa people on our podcast before, and one of them, great guy, Rubio, he ended up buying a grounds guy, a neighborly company franchise, Winter Park area. And he mentioned, I think he might have been off air, that one of his biggest struggles was he had all this money. He came from, I think, Colombia. He had
a government job when he left Colombia.
He's got a bank full of cash in Colombia. He could not get a car loan. So he had to pay cash for his trucks.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't get a credit card.
I can relate to
And
all of
he
this.
didn't have American Express, and he couldn't.
Wrong person. I'm the second part of the story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. And so he literally is just trying to figure out how he can build his credit, because he had all the credit in the world where he can in his home country, but he had nothing here. And then secondly, we had Marcus from the Glass Guru. He's from Mexico City. And he circumvented this because he had an Amex account in Mexico.
That's what I remembered.
And then he called Amex and said, convert this to an American account. And they moved it from Mexico to America.
Oh, wow.
And he came to America already with his Amex.
Wow.
And was able to convert it. So just kind of a little.
Well, when you talk about vehicles, that was it. Cash purchase.
Yeah.
Going to the bank, getting the cashier's check. There was no way. I'll be honest, still to this day, it's a challenge because now we have to spend the next 2 years building our American credit as individuals. Yes, it's a business, but they don't see it like that here. You need to have yourself squared away before we start looking and leveraging business credit. So, the challenge is how much capital have we brought down with a very weak Canadian dollar converting it to US dollars, and then trying to deploy that in the field, the capital is always going to be the challenge when you're investing in a foreign nation. And I think that's generally for any business, but I think it just adds to the resiliency of, holy smokes, you gotta have your ducks in a line.
Right. Yeah, we got to have some resilience because there's some challenges.
Oh, there are days you want to give up, but I'm a little stubborn. That's not happening.
So did you have to create like a C Corp and LLC here and then do a DBA for Restoration One?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So we let all the accountants and the lawyers, sort that out. But essentially, we have our LLC that was set up, and you have an EIN number, which is essentially your business tax ID number, and then from there they'll do their DBAs. Mm-hmm. So having 3 locations here, 3 DBAs, you just triplicate everything you could imagine. You thought one time was tough, do it 3 times.
Yeah, exactly.
So you officially opened here in Central Florida when?
Just before Christmas, I'd say very late fall before Christmas of 2023.
Okay.
So we're a year and a few months into the swing of things.
Very cool. Yeah. So challenges, when you opened up here, how did you navigate just kind of starting jobs? Did you just light up some online marketing? Did you just start?
No.
What did you do?
Stayed away from the online marketing.
Yeah.
My wife and I are relationship people, and maybe that's the Canadian in us or our personalities, but we find so many people are obsessed with the digital space. Oh, put the money in the digital. What are you doing digital? I'm like, have you guys ever actually gone out to a chamber of commerce? Have you actually spoken to anybody about your business? Have you actually tried to build rapport? People want to do business with people that they know. And I think that's the easiest transition into building that rapport and having your clientele. So I have been very anti-digital marketing up until the last month. Now there's additional revenue to support some of these things, but everything we did was involvement with the Chamber of Commerce. And a lot of the reasons behind that, my previous life in policing, I was the media relations officer. So also understanding the need of the politicians, the Chamber of Commerce's, and that relationship vibe. I said, let's bring it here and see if we can duplicate that. And that was the easiest way for us to start building clientele. People knew who we were from the Chamber of Commerce, which then led to other networking groups, participating in those. Now B&I, we've grown those organic, real relationships, which in my opinion, I think Floridians maybe are not really there. Yeah. It's kind of the Wild West here for business.
Most people in Florida aren't from here though. So you're talking about a gazillion different cultures all mixed together from other places, but also from all over the U.S.
I was born in Florida. I'm one of the rare birds. We deploy similar. If you're coming to a brand new location and Hole in the Walls doesn't have a presence there, unlike where Restoration One had one here, then we start them with the campaigning online, but they immediately have to start doing networking. We call it burning shoe leather. You just go build relationships because that's our long-term bread and butter. It's the relationships in your communities and it's the relationships to other trades that will feed you work. Yeah. Right. So great ideas.
Because we have owners now, and I was just out a few weeks ago down to St. Petersburg, Clearwater. We just happened to have a mentorship group. And some of the owners who were, if you want to say younger than me in Restoration One, they've done everything into digital marketing and have had to have these conversations. You are the best marketer and advocate for yourself and for your business. So get out there. And it was kind of like a foreign concept for some of them, but you can tell they were also a little bit more analytical, and they wanted to take a step back and do their own thing. Like, hey, I'll put everything onto social media. It doesn't work like that. People want to meet you. They want to know who you are, who's coming to the home, who's your team, what you're all about. It's relationships.
Yeah. Well put.
It's one of the struggles that people have because they don't want to get out there because because you're good at a task doesn't mean you're a good business owner. And maybe you're a little bit of an introvert. Frankly, I don't care for people too much, but I have to fake it to go out there and start doing all that.
You're doing a good job, I'll tell you that.
Isn't that your Cybertruck out there?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet, no. Yeah. Maybe the new design. So, but when you put a face to the product, right?
Yes.
So when it's not just Restoration One, but it's Richard's Restoration One, it's a big deal.
It is.
And scaling, eventually you'll have a hard time because I personally can't handle, hey, I've got a hole in my garage ceiling, can you come fix it? Questions anymore. I personally just have to forward that to my team.
Yes. But you've grown to that point where now you have those people in play and you go, that's not my expertise. I got to focus on the things. I can't stand that, you know?
Yeah.
And that's natural.
Yeah, but being able to have but it took a while. I mean, Bill was the face of the company. Together we're on our pictures on the front page of the franchise website, and even when we're starting to work with franchise candidates, we find that they're more drawn to the brand, and then they get really hooked when they start listening to the podcast. They start talking with Bill and I, and they realize, oh, you're not just some machine.
Yeah, that's right.
People.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, and so when you have a business, you have to get out there and just impress people.
Yeah.
That's how you build credibility. We talk about it. Visibility leads credibility, which leads to profitability. And so being visible, showing up to these events, I know they're difficult. I try to limit my after hours events anymore, but it's hard because a lot of these events are after hour events. And building the relationships with other trades are crucial. So who are some of the main trade partners that you partner with that give you leads?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, it's a struggle. Any quality plumbers out there? I hate to say it. Florida's been weird, plumbers in our world. You guys come from the old school restoration where everything was plumbers. I think those days have really changed
and
now.
Referral fees were crazy.
Yeah. And I just refuse to do that. I want to find the honest, ethical plumbing company or any tradesperson. There's enough greasy cats in the business world I don't want to be a part of. I'll find the right people. I've already started to find them. I hate to say it. There are some public adjusters I've come across. There are some, it's just like super greasy. Like, no. Plumbers are great if you can find the mom and pop who generally want to exchange legitimate business and build a relationship with you. And if you can't find that, that's a challenge. So I'm still on the look for that. But funny enough, public adjusters have been a great referral source. Electricians would be great if I could find some more because they come across things when they do work behind walls. It's the same like your roofers. They're up there. Hey, we're starting to see things, even painters. We want to go in homes and we're questioning this discoloration. But to add on top of that, realtors have been quality as well. And I want to add in there, kind of drawing a blank here for a second.
Well, drywall people, because we've given
you. Yeah, I was going to say, no, you have. Drywall folks too, but it's almost been people not in the trades who have also been very helpful.
Oh, yeah.
I really think so.
Yeah.
Being in the Chamber of Commerce, I've had people right away pick up the phone. We know Richard, call him. We see something in our office. We see something at a home. Those have been the stronger referrals versus some of the tradespeople right now. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but trades they're tough.
Well, you can't put all your eggs in one basket, right? You have to diversify your lead flow. And so it's obviously great when hurricane comes through, then your adjusters, your roofers, those are great resources for you. But when there's no hurricane, you've got to figure out who's the best bet. And really, realtors, move in, move outs, property managers, those got to be great resources.
I'm curious, is there a portion of your business that's direct from a homeowner?
Yeah, you get them. They'll find you on Google or they'll search. They'll call in.
Social media.
To be honest, I gotta work on that part, but that's part of the next step of things. The digital side.
Sure.
But it's funny. Some people, those residential owners, have called because of the previous restoration one that was here. And so they had a great time with his team, and they remembered. And so these are families going, "Hey, restoration one came, 10 years ago. Call them again today." But tradespeople are tough. It's either they're too large of a conglomerate, I don't want to say any names. And so now you lose touch with the owner and it's just a lot of employees.
We actually experience that quite a bit too. We'll get into something that's a large company and then our person gets promoted or leaves the company. Yeah. We had a roofing company come back just this past week that we did tons of work for in the past.
And they vanished.
And they've rediscovered us now going, we're new sheriff in town and we're back with you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. We had a pest control company because they do termite repairs all the time. And they're always going in. And so when this one individual was with that company, we were his best friend. And then he left the company and then
nobody there knows us anymore.
No one knew who we were. It is kind of,
it's challenging. You got to stay top of mind too.
Yeah.
It goes back again to the relationship side. It's great. You show up to the chamber or a networking group, but if you disappear for a period of time, you get forgotten about. There's somebody else moving in.
It's true.
So those days that you don't feel like going out and trying to talk to people and network and kiss babies and shake hands, your competition's right behind you coming in and they got that seat,
Yeah. It's a constant touch.
It's a constant touch.
It's hard to do as an owner when you're working in the business because working on the business is just as important as in it. We had I had a plumber when we were doing our restoration work that he says, you know what, I don't deal with referrals. My technicians do. So if you want to talk to somebody about it, go talk to the technician. So I talked to the technician, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll give you referrals, $1,000 referral."
No, thanks.
Like, what? $1,000, I'm not giving your name out. Like, I'll be fine without your help.
Yeah,
You know, it's
100%.
like, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So silly.
Because then that becomes the constant relationship is with that now one person on this exchange of currency. You know, if you have the organic, it's very different. That guy's going to come and go.
Mhm.
That real, authentic, organic relationship's always going to be there feeding work because it goes both ways.
Mhm.
You know, it's
Well, and if you can get into the culture of the company, right?
that's
So
key.
you find the mom and pop shops that have the same philosophy, because we don't sell drywall. We create solutions for people who have problems,
Mhm.
right? So someone has an issue, they had a flood, they had some sort, something happened in the roof. We're not there to sell our drywall services. We're there to solve a problem for them.
Mhm.
And if you find someone who's there, because again, we're part of the community. So I want to make sure that I'm not out just trying to put my hand in someone's pocketbook. I'm out there helping them restore their life back together again. We chose not to stay in the restoration world because I chose not to be the bank a hole in the wall every time the insurance company wanted to
Oh,
delay
that's
a claim,
true.
right?
It's a whole
And
story.
then, of course, we started franchising, and we really had to focus hard on what we were really good at. And that's what we were the best at. We were good restorers. I hold multiple IRCRC certifications myself. But it actually made us a stronger company. My technicians float around now with moisture meters. They now know how to use proper PPE, which no one does in the industry unless you know the dangers that we don't know.
It's a nightmare.
So it made us a better company for it and made our employees more safe.
Mhm.
But that's why it's important to have relationships with you and restoration companies, because when we see something, we no longer have the ability to take care of it, to treat it. And in the state of Florida, anything under 10 square feet,
Correct.
we can't really touch.
Correct.
Right. And so I have to bring that to someone's attention right away. But if I don't have a trusted partner, somebody who I don't really believe is going to do a good job, I have other partners, and I've seen them go do repair work, or, go restore work in someone's home. And then I look back on it as a former restorer and I go, that's not how I would have done it.
What the hell?
Right. I think I showed you a picture of a job a while back. I was like,
Yes.
I referred this person and they told me they left in 2 days, and I know the gusher of the leak they had.
No.
I was not impressed. And so that's when I kind of shift my goal over to the people that I do trust. And so building that trust is important.
See, and that was one of the struggles also coming here. And you got my mind going. We didn't know that the restoration industry, maybe in the US or Florida specifically, I think it's Florida specifically, also because of the hurricanes, the insurance industry is just a mess here. The industry has a tarnish on it. And so people are always hesitant on wanting to call out a restoration company. I get a lot of people go, I can go to Home Depot and get a fan. I'm like, well, it's not a fan, it's an air mover. But yes, sure. But you also need to dry that, building material.
Sure.
And do you have the moisture meters and technology to actually ensure it's dry? And it's not going to be dry in 3 days. It was a marketing gimmick. It could take 7, 12 days. What kind of, situation took place here? But it's building that trust. And I'll give you an example. We had this lovely couple had just left Texas, and I've shared with it a few times in BNI here recently because it was a very long occurrence. Their home was devastated with mold damage in Texas, and the wife originally was from Florida. Was like, let's get back. We're in our latter years of life. Let's come back to Florida. They move into this home 6 months later. They have sewage that backlogs and destroys the entire house. It's stunning property. People have worked there in their, I'd say, early 70s. They've worked their entire life to build a fortune, buy this retirement, and it's gone. So we go there, and I'm explaining to her, we are going to treat your home like it's my home. We're not coming in here and just wide scale, massive demolition. Like you say, I would have done things differently. We're going to come in here as if it's my home, and we're going to look at dissecting this property on a must need basis versus what the hell, make it easy, just open up the walls. And by doing that, not only did we save her a lot of money, but we gave her peace of mind knowing her home was being properly taken care of. It wasn't a wide scale demolition of just pure chaos and leaving her in the dark. Even with the follow-up, like a few days ago, like, hey, how are you guys doing? It's been a few weeks. I want to check in. Have you been able to get everything that you need? Anything that we can still help you with long after our involvement? But that's the key, because we see that. I'll go to those terrible sites. I'm like, what the heck happened in here? Like, who operated on Frankenstein? It's like there's no delicate balance.
Well, it's all about turning and burning, right? When you've got heavy overhead, if you're one of the big restoration companies,
yes.
I won't say names, but it's really a turn and burn philosophy. Get in, get out, ASAP, and then hope pray the PRV comes back right.
Yes.
Yes. And frankly, if you're not working for the insurance company, sometimes they don't even do a PRV, right?
Oh, I've seen that. You want me to tell you some horror stories?
Yeah, please.
Oh my gosh. So we have a commercial client. They had called us out, and sour smell in their office space. All of a sudden the carpets are wet. It's a large financial group. Again, we have the rapport. They make the first call to us. We discover it's coming from a neighboring restaurant. So we go in there, we start doing our cursory, initial work, and we quickly realize, hey, there's some significant discoloration. You can't say the M word, but we need to figure out what it is. And sure enough, it comes back to that. The neighboring restaurant didn't want to hire us because they had their own team. That's fine. That's okay. That team, knowing that the M word was officially confirmed, being mold in this property of a shared wall, a very long section of wall, they never wanted to do the proper post-remediation valuation. We swabbed it. It's fine. Well, what do you mean you swabbed what? Did you run an air test? Where's the mold protocol to remove what was happening in this shared wall from your side of the property? So it was a huge eye-opening experience for the people I was hired for, because they couldn't believe that we have people out there who genuinely don't want to follow the health and safety precautions and regulations and the IICRC standards of, you have mold in your property and you're just swabbing it? Like, you mean you went to the back wall and sprayed a disinfectant and then, there's no accountability. But that's the horror stories of things that take place in the industry.
Well, a lot of people don't understand how mold can spread and how it's aerosolized, and how
it's a nightmare.
If you don't contain the area where the contamination is, you're going to infect the rest of the house.
Yes.
If you turn the air vent on and there's a return in the same room that your containment is, you've now put mold spores through the entire home.
You got it.
You got to clean your vents. You got to sanitize the entire property now, just because you don't handle the initial containment properly. So just to clarify, PRV, we said earlier, is post remediation and verification. That's where a third-party person in the state of Florida goes, sets the protocol.
Correct.
Restorers go do the work. So this way there's a separation.
Correct.
And then they come back to make sure that the restoration company did their job properly.
But
there's no mold.
But you have restoration companies here who are doing both.
Yeah.
And how do you have an independent, true, ethical conversation that the work was done properly? Because I've been called by homeowners, and it's like, oh, I got this protocol, but they want me to use their company. And then you quickly do some searching for them and find out it's the same company. So, okay, you'll follow this protocol because they've then hired you because they don't trust this other company. And you're like, this was wide-scale demolition that never needed to happen. And then you start to realize how these companies keep everything in-house. They're not independent, and they're just padding invoices. So, for home and business owners, find those honest, ethical people, ask questions, get referrals, understand what's going on. Don't jump on the kind of the first thing that comes out to you, because I feel terrible. So we're trying to change the industry. We're trying to do our part. And if it's me giving you some advice and pointing you in the right direction, I hope that at some point you come back and support us with some business. You know, you have to be.
Did you know that there are over 140 million homes in the U.S.? 97% of them have walls and ceilings that are built using drywall. The drywall repair industry is simply enormous, valued at over $13 billion a year. We're hole-in-the-wall drywall repair, and for years we have been perfecting the art of repairing drywall, developing and refining our systems, and strengthening our brand. Our business model is simple, scalable, and easy to learn. We believe it's a real game changer. We are successful drywall repair pros who decided to take our repair business to a higher level, growing both our franchise training and support to industry-leading standards. You'll benefit from our vast experience helping your franchise hit the ground running and achieve success quickly. We'll give you access to our marketing team that has created strategic programs designed to get your phone ringing and booking new business fast. Join a fast-growing leader in an exciting dynamic segment of the home service industry by franchising with Hole-in-the-Wall Drywall Repair. Start building your own business and securing your own financial future today. So tell us now, currently, we're 2025, What does this year look like for you? What are maybe some good things on the horizon? What's your growth strategy right now?
Growth strategy is people, people, people. We have a small team of technicians. We're going to be bringing on a business development representative. We got to get out into different markets too. Florida has a very large Latin population as well. As much as I'm trying to learn, Spanish, this blue-eyed Canadian boy is not going to cut it in some of those circles, right? So, I have a team that can speak both languages. Florida and Orlando are very unique to that. So trying to work into that market and focus on the commercial side of work. I hate to say it, I can't stand the small little water losses or the mold things. It's very tedious. I'd rather have a large project where our team's on it for 3 to 4 weeks and we're really putting the effort instead of that burning and churning. Like, today we're here and 2 days we're over there. It's crazy. And it leaves the team with this constant confusion as to, where are we tomorrow? No, we're going to be here helping this family out. We're going to be here helping this business owner out. So growth strategy, people, revenue is always important, especially being a Canadian and our financial situation, and just growing our fleet. The key for us is still focusing on the Lake Nona region. Now we're going to focus on to our second location into Winter Park. And then hopefully by the start of next year, we'll be more active in Lake Buena Vista. So not trying to take everything at once, but really focusing on the small, the tree rings here, which is where a lot of the businesses started through the right people, training people, getting our name out there and continuing to be in front of people.
Right. Now, are you able to hire people who don't have the certifications and get them the certifications? Or you looking for the certs?
No, we can. Listen, if you have the certs, it's great, but sometimes you have bad luggage, right? So I want to bring you to my standard. I don't want to have the shortcuts. I don't want to have the detailed cleaning look, not detailed cleaning. That's fine, but I'm always willing to foster and grow the employees in a family environment where they can have the right training. It's actually funny. Let me take a step back. I've interviewed some people for project management position recently and a business development role. And these individuals with restoration experience have never once gone on an IICRC training class. That's the industry here. And these people have
surprising.
Yeah.
20 years combined. A lot of these people, I'm like, your previous companies they just don't see it. They're worried we're going to leave. And I'm like, why would I not want to invest my time and energy into ensuring you have everything you need to feel comfortable, confident, and ready to go out there? You don't have to have all the answers. That's what, me as the owner and building a good team is about, because we can find the solutions to those problems. But that was a huge shock for me, is realizing that the IICRC and having any type of training was like not present here. So giving those employees, whether you don't have it, we'll send you there. Show us you have the capabilities to swing a hammer or, make those relationships, bring business in and build referral partners, and we'll send you. I have no problem in that. I want you to feel loved, appreciated, and that you have a future here. When you have 3 locations, that's huge. Yeah. So I have big goals. I want to dominate Orlando,
good for
take
you.
over the market, but I need to build a winning team who feels valued.
Yeah, it's funny because when I took my WRT, I was in classes with people who had been in the business for 10 years.
Yes.
I mean, I'm a project manager for such and such company.
Yes.
And like, you doing a renewal? Oh, no, I'm just taking it my first time.
Yes.
Like, what? I mean, like, they teach you the basics on how many air movers you need,
Yes.
how to design them, how many dehues you need. And the fact that they were just winging it was, foreign. Listen, obviously on-the-job training is important, but it was amazing. And then I took my AMRT class for mold.
Yes.
And people have been doing mold remediation for years.
Yes.
And they're just now getting their certification.
Yes.
I just found it flabbergasting.
I was discovering in my interviews that restoration companies weren't even following the IICRC, whether or not they had the training or not. They don't have the training, so they're not following it anyways because they don't believe in it. These are the answers I'd hear from, those owners. So I'm like, wow, there's a standard that's globally out there that we use and the industry's not following it. Okay, that's a problem. So let's make sure our employees have that standard and we can follow it. It's black and white, but of course your time in the field will dictate maybe some of the gray matter where it's appropriate. But it was really shocking for me to see that.
Well, the state of Florida, you are not required to have the WRT certification.
I don't think any state
to work in water.
Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
It's so you can start working, saying you're a remediation company,
Correct.
doing water loss without anyone
Correct.
certifying you.
100%.
And then if you're a GC or some sort of contractor, you can do mold remediation without ever needing a mold license.
Correct.
And it's crazy.
I've run into a few of those people. I had some hotel projects and I lost the work because GCs would come and going, oh, we can just do wide scale demolition for mold. And I would be like, are you guys crazy? You're going to spread this through this entire commercial property. But it's the people trying to make those decisions, not having the education on, no, you should have your mold license. You should have your mold certifications. You should have the insurances and protections in place. But anyways, we're working on the industry. We're getting there.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, good luck.
Yeah, you're swimming upstream.
I know.
Better you than me at this point.
We can only focus on ourselves, and that's what matters. We're going to set our own benchmarks and be different and just, again, build relationships. That's the theme.
Yeah.
Cool.
Excuse me. Are you doing Xactimate? Are you doing that in-house? Are
It's
you
a nightmare. Xactimate. Do we go down that road?
Well, I mean, it's. I am a little worried that we're geeking out a little more in the restoration world than the small business world.
Okay,
but obviously, we've read the book "Delay, Deny, Defend" by the insurance. It's for former insurance company. We know that the insurance companies own Xactimate, and they still decline our estimates based on their standards. Yeah. But if it's not an insurance job, are you using it?
Yes and no. We have our own formula, and the industry is changing that way. We have a lot of owners of Restoration One who just refuse to use Xactimate. There's no requirement to use it. It is not the benchmark for pricing. And for those who don't know, it's just a massive software that can do everything from building a skyscraper, but restoration industry uses like 0.5% of it.
But it is somewhat outdated, is it not?
Incredibly, the price, the price list goes up another, 5 cents or something somewhere in there, but it's very antiquated and it's not the benchmark for the industry. There's no reason to use it. So owners like me, we submit our sheet in and go, here's our cost proposal and scope of work. And there's the final number. You're paying it.
Yeah.
There's no requirement for me to use the software. I'm not going to use the software. I'm going to do what's best for my clients and for me as a business owner. I don't need the insurance company telling me how to run my business. And so for this reason, I'm not a fan of insurance work and I avoid it at all costs. We're looking for a lot of those business and homeowners who have disposable income. And they are out there.
Yeah.
A lot. I would say 95% of my business in the last year and a few months have been from those individuals.
Yeah.
They would rather deal with me stress-free, get the work done with our team instead of fighting over this nonsense with the insurance companies on this software.
Yeah, we'll have insurance companies call us up. We'll do a job for somebody because we offer financing.
Yes.
Get it done, and then I'm going to go fight the insurance companies.
Yes.
And they submit to us. We demand that you do line item pricing for everything you did.
No.
And the answer is that's not what we're set up for. Yeah. We literally here. I'll give you a room pricing. Here's the bedroom costs you $2,000, and here's what I did in it. But I'm not going to tell you I did X number of linear feet of flood cut or base trim or insulation. No. It's not the model. And frankly, I don't like giving the homeowner that much detail because it's too overwhelming for them.
It is overwhelming for them.
So when they see a nice basic, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make your place better.
Yes.
It's going to cost you this amount of money.
That's what we do.
They love it.
It's exactly what we do. I put together a scope of work that spells it out very clearly into kind of bullet points, even like what is a post-remediation verification valid? What is that? Like, this is what it is. What is a certain cleaning product? This is what it is. So they see it clearly. It's not overwhelming. There's no crazy numbers, and it's just very simple to understand. And if I need to come and revisit and sit down with you, like I've had to do for some of our elderly clients, I'll take the time and print the stuff out for you because, email's not their thing. So take the time to make it easy, but we're not doing that. The industry, you're seeing a lot of pushback, and that's where a lot of our owners we're not doing that.
Yeah, cool. And so how much time are you spending in the field working on jobs versus just doing some of the management side, ownership stuff?
I'm really in the field with the team still. We are bringing on additional support. I need more technicians. Shout out to anybody who wants to work in restoration. I need to get myself out and to continue to focus on the growth of the business than being Chuck in the truck, guy pushing the truck. I don't mind being out there because I've always been boots on the ground. I was like that in policing. So I like to be there to help support, not micromanage, but encourage and grow our family of employees. So, the key for me is, we got to make a transition, and that's what we're doing right now. We're actively hiring two key positions and hopefully iron that out before the summertime.
Yeah. So if you wanted to mentor somebody or someone was wanting to get into this business, preferably not in Central Florida. I mean, what is some advice that maybe not just restoration, but just business in general?
Yeah.
If just the top one or two things, maybe three things that you just wish someone would have told you when you started, or things that you've learned that you could help somebody else out. What are some of those things that you would give advice on?
Do you want to get specific to restoration, or do you want to be business general?
I got plenty of time to
We
do
got
both.
plenty of time. We can do both. All right. So, in general, okay, let's start with restoration. We knew the industry was going to be challenging. They give you, and this is why we like the franchising. It goes back to the E2 process. It was a quicker way for us to obtain an opportunity to come to the US, right? Instead of having to rebuild a business, you basically get the Lego block. Here's the manual, build it. But within the industry, there have been so many additional line items, so to speak, where I was not expecting this additional level of work. We knew there was a bunch of work, a lot of work, but it was like a bunch times 10 more. And so, you get, here's the basic equipment you think you need. And then you realize, hey, what about this obscure random thing that's actually very pivotal for a job and is like a requirement? So understanding that, you're going to go off onto the spur tracks from the main line
Right.
a lot and be prepared for that. Coming as an international investor to the US, our dollar's getting weaker. I don't know where people are coming generally from around the world to invest here, but the Canadian dollar is weak. So knowing that our buying power was heavily diminished and continues to heavily be diminished. So that was a growing pain is, we have a lot of capital. We brought a lot of capital, but understanding, holy smokes, when you're at almost, I think it's like 42 or 46 cents right now, like it's not good for us. So the capital side's always key. And the third thing is employees. It's a challenge to find quality, real driven employees. Yes, it's not an easy job. You're going to be in a home or a business where there's no air conditioning. It's in the middle of summer and you're sweating to death, wearing your personal protective equipment, doing mold remediation. You got to really show these individuals that there is a future here. Yes, it sucks. Grow from there. But trying to attract that type of person is hard. I have a plan. I kind of know who I'm looking for, but those three things have been very eye-opening for me in terms of that.
Yeah. Similar problems to most people, right?
Yeah.
So it's make sure you're capitalized enough to have the growth. We had a candidate recently where they wanted to purchase more territory, but then they would have been territory rich, but they may have been capital struggling.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we help guide them through that process. And so that's important to have the money to grow because,
Yes.
it's going to take a minute to actually start, getting in the black.
100%.
The expectation for you to break even is, it takes time, right?
It takes time, but the key has been reinvesting in the business. In the first year, I wasn't taking any payroll, if you want to say that, right? My wife has been able to support those small incidentals. I've been having a lot of bread sandwiches. That's great. I'll spend my money on the odd cigar here and there. But the point is taking everything that the business makes and reinvesting it, whether that's additional equipment, you need extra staff, you need to invest in technology or something like now digital marketing. That's how you're going to grow. If you're quick expecting that pay income for yourself to support you and your family, understand you're not going to be there. Maybe that can be the fourth takeaway coming into business, but just continue to invest in yourself, your education, your people, and the business. Just keep doing that repeatedly for the next 3 to 5 years as best as you can.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Great advice. Great advice. Anything else, fellas?
I had a quick question. You're a very motivated person, well-spoken. I wonder if you have maybe a personal ethos or something that you go by that keeps you motivated. What do you do when you need to drive yourself? How do you do that?
Very deep question. I'll go into a story for you. When I was in my early days of policing, my father was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer at 58, and it came very quickly. And I was again stuck living in Alberta as a police officer away from Ontario. So, realizing my dad was now back home and I was 4-hour plane ride away and he's going through all this treatment, it was, it works on the mind a little bit. So 3 days before he passed, I was able to get a transfer to go back towards Toronto, and I was able to share that with him before he left. But that pivotal moment, knowing my dad, highly respected school teacher, when he passed, he had students from over 35 years ago. showing up to the funeral home to visit and, send their wishes to my brother, my mom, and I of his passing. And the funeral home was one of the largest in Toronto. They've never seen any turnout like this. So this was really eye-opening going, because my dad was a special person. Okay. But at 58, close to retirement, never made it to retirement. I think my ethos is life is too short. And part of the transition also leaving policing is, what am I doing here? Okay, COVID was the pivoting point to leave policing, but I'm stuck in a different province. My wife is over here. Nothing is panning out. I'm really burning out of this industry. There's more to life than pensions and paychecks. Life is short. My dad never really enjoyed retirement. So what are we working all these years until we get to, 65 or whatever it is, so you can retire? So that has been my big pivotal point, the ethos of life is short, and you need to do everything you can to become a better version of yourself every day. Try and help and support people genuinely, build those relationships. I'm not perfect. There are days I wake up, I'm like, I don't want to do nothing, but I have to do it.
Yeah.
You have to do it.
Yeah. And one other part I would take away from that you didn't really get into, don't be satisfied.
No. When you get comfortable.
When you say life is too short, it means don't just accept the current situation.
Yes.
Don't take these circumstances sitting down.
Yeah.
You can do something about it.
100%. When you feel comfortable in business or something in your life, that should be your alarm bell going, you need to make a change. Do you need to go on a course? Do you need to expand the business? So I've always looked back going, okay, I'm getting, like right now in the business, I'm kind of getting comfortable. I'm doing a lot of stuff on the truck with the guys. I need to do something now. Now's the change. We need to hire someone. I need the challenge, the stress, the challenge of onboarding new people and building them into becoming incredible restorers and team people, team leaders. So, but that's it. It's don't settle for
Don't settle.
Now, I hate to say it, Canada is a very educational kind of society. Like, how many master degrees do you have? Like, nobody's in the trades. When I wanted to learn the trades in school, those things were cut out. So I never had an opportunity to learn those things. It was, how many degrees can you obtain? And so by doing that, it forces people into the system of only working Monday to Friday, 8 to 3, pensions and paychecks, and they don't know what life is like outside of Canada. They don't know what life is like outside to enjoy yourself. And it all ties into these things.
So Bill and I have talked about this a lot in our personal life, because I am a very strong believer in what you're saying. Okay. My wife's first husband passed away, pancreatic cancer, and we know that we are not promised tomorrow.
1,000%.
So he was a young guy. He just got hit. And things happen. We could get sick. We could get hit by a truck. It all happens. And Bill and I talk about this a lot because, investing and saving and working for that retirement, my problem is I don't want to work to 65 and then either, luckily, God willing, I make it to 65 and I retire, and then I only live to 68.
Yes.
And then I've worked
Nothing.
50 plus years of my life to enjoy 3. So I'm a kind of a work hard, play hard kind of guy. Okay, so that's why we'll do vacations. We'll maybe buy something that we probably could have saved that money on, because I just want to make sure my kids are educated. They'll take care of themselves.
Of course,
I'm not going to leave an inheritance. I don't think so. We'll see.
I got you.
But I just believe that if you don't invest in you, okay, and that could be your mental health, your spiritual health, your physical health, you can't be there for your business, for your spouse, or your children.
Yes.
Right. So making sure you take care of that mental health side. That's, you go on a vacation. If you have a spouse, make sure you go on a date every couple of weeks. Just,
100%.
Go get a weekend away from the kids.
Yes.
Once every year, try and get a week or 2 away where you can just enjoy each other, or even with family. When I was a kid, my parents would always do family vacations, and we would travel to another family member's house, and then we would sleep on the couch and the floors, and that's just the opposite of who I am now. I want the experience. I want the memories of having my kids, my family now, my grandkids, trying to actually enjoy life together. So that's where I'm building. I want to build hole in the wall to a place where that's quality of life is going to be there for myself and my spouse moving forward. So I echo that completely. And I applaud you for actually having that kind of mentality.
A silly example. I like cigars. Love cigars. For those who don't understand, cigars is like wine. You can go to a certain German grocery store here and get a $3 bottle of wine. It's amazing, but you can end up with a $50 bottle of wine somewhere else and go, "This is garbage." Why? So cigars are kind of like that. But I have lots of cigars. It's my passion. And you're like, why am I saving all of these cigars? Why am I saving a certain brand or a type? Like, is it a special occasion or you're just another type? No, go enjoy that cigar. Maybe set aside a particular cigar, that bottle of wine, for a benchmark. Be purposeful with it. Put it in the calendar. Literally use your calendar and your phone, set time to do things. But say, I'm going to have that bottle of wine or that cigar when I reach this point.
Or maybe both together.
But it's a silly example. Like, we're always saving like that coupon, like that $5 off ice cream coupon. I'm going to save it for a special. Have it now, because tomorrow is never guaranteed.
Yeah.
Enjoy the cigar now. Go, that was a damn fine cigar. That glass of wine was awesome. I went to, a date with my wife. We did this. It was amazing. And just do it. Yeah. What are you waiting for? Because that was such a life-changing experience going, wow, we never got to meet my wife. We never got to grow and see. He just saw me at this young age and he was gone.
There's that passion coming through right there.
Yeah, I was looking through my humidor the other day and I realized, I've got cigars that have been in there for 12 years.
Have one today.
I listen, it's on my bucket list. I got bottles of bourbon that have been there. Got dust on them. It's like, you know what?
What are you waiting for?
Today is a special occasion. I'm alive today. I may not be alive tomorrow. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely.
Business it's a journey, and you need to enjoy that journey because you're authoring each chapter of your life through this business and through these things. So, don't be afraid to add a plot twist or something to your own book. That's how you have to look at it.
Well said. Well said.
All right. Well, Richard, this was fun, man.
It's great.
I really like our conversation. I can't wait to go to one of your cigar events and just enjoy.
Yeah, thank you. We'll do something fun. A pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. All right, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for coming out today, taking the time.
Yeah,
pleasure to meet you.
50 minutes well spent.
Look forward to spending more time with you.
All right. So, Richard, if people want to get a hold of you, what is the best way for them to get a hold of Restoration One here?
Honestly, if you just go to LinkedIn, search Richard Di Biase. You could always search restoration1.com, but LinkedIn, Richard Di Biase. So we have Restoration One Lake Nona, Restoration One Winter Park, and Restoration One of Lake Buena Vista. My name's unique. You can find it.
Absolutely.
You'll see me.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for the show. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Another good show. We'd like to thank you for listening to the Hole in the Wall Business Podcast with Bill and James. We'd love for you to join our Facebook group and keep the conversation going. If you'd like to learn more about us and our business, check us out at holeinthewall.com. If you'd like to learn more about how to start a Hole in the Wall franchise, go to holeinthewallfranchising.com.